Today, we're going to talk about what an appraisal is and why do we need one. Hello, I'm Tracy Pines. I'm a real estate agent here in Tampa, Florida with Better Homes and Garden Real Estate. And today, we're going to talk about what an appraisal is and why we need one. Let's first talk about who is the person who's doing the appraisal. This isn't some Joe Schmo showing up to a house to determine if the seller is selling his home too much or too little. Under the state of Florida, real estate property appraisers must be licensed, and they have some strict guidelines to follow. So let's take a quick peek at what the guidelines are. First, they have to get a trainee license through coursework, complete 1,000 hours of work experience under the supervision of a licensed real estate appraiser, complete required coursework, pass the residential real property exam, and of course submit their license application to get their appraiser license. So now that they have their license, what role do they play? The role of a real estate appraiser is to help their clients determine the market value of a property, which is one of the first steps in any real estate transaction, whether you are a buyer, seller, or lender. So what is an appraisal? An home appraisal is an unbiased estimate of the true or fair market value of what a home is worth. The appraisal can include recent sales information for similar properties, the current condition of the property, and the location of the property. So why is an appraisal ordered to begin with? Well, there are a couple of reasons. One, the buyer should want to make sure the purchase price is justified by the appraised value. You don't want to buy a home for $250,000 that's only worth $200,000. Secondly, if a buyer is obtaining a mortgage on a property, the lender wants to ensure that they have adequate security. This is in case the buyer decides not to pay on the loan as agreed and the lender has to foreclose on the property. The lender wants to make sure that they can recoup those funds they lent to the buyer. Is an appraisal ordered? The appraisal is ordered after the buyer and seller have agreed on a purchase price and have signed the contract. The mortgage lender is the one who orders the appraisal. However, in most cases, the lender will have the buyer pay for the appraisal fee up front. Appraisals typically cost a few $100s. When the appraiser has determined the market value of the property, a couple things can happen. The appraised value can come in higher or lower than expected or equal to the purchase price. If the appraisal comes in lower and you're the buyer, don't panic. This doesn't mean the lender won't lend. It just means the lender will make a loan based on the ratio agreed to in the contract at the appraised value. So for example, say you agreed to purchase this home at $250,000 at 5% down payment, giving you a loan to value of 95%. The appraised value came in at $245,000 instead of the $250,000, but you're still paying 5% down payment, giving you a 95% loan to value. Yes, your down payment and your loan amount will be lower. Remember, the lender will lend on appraised value or sales price, whichever's less. This happens, buyers and sellers have a few options. In this example, the buyer could come to closing with a difference of $5,000, or if your contract has an appraisal contingency, which means the home has to appraise at the contract price or higher, and if it doesn't, you can simply walk away, or you can try to renegotiate with the seller to accept a contract price at the new appraised value. If you are the seller and the appraised value came in less than the purchase price, then you could contest the comps that were used. Maybe you know a home that's sold that's similar to your home and the appraiser didn't use it. As long as that home has sold and closed, you can request the appraiser to look at the additional comp. Remember, the key word is sold, not pending contract, not active in the multiple listing service, but actually sold. Or the seller could order their own appraisal. The good news is if the appraised value comes in equal to the purchase contract or higher, then the buyer can move forward with the purchasing of the home. So what happens to the appraisal fee should buyer and seller not be able to work out an agreement? Unfortunately, the fee for an appraisal is not a profit generator for your lender. It is a cost of doing the loan, and the loan fee goes to a third party such as the appraiser. So the lender doesn't have this money to give back to you. So unfortunately, refunds for appraisals are not generally issued. but you are entitled to a copy of the appraisal. If you have any further questions regarding appraisals, please feel free to reach out to me. Thanks for watching.